Hey, what is up guys? So we're going to be talking about a few new cards here for a legendary gold box that will actually be released for OCG. This will be very interesting because we haven't actually seen gold rares in the TCG for a long time now. So seeing it potentially making a return will be very interesting indeed. But of course this is for OCG, so perhaps these cards will be imported into the TCG in a different form, either as a common, rare or super or whatever rarity we normally get. But I do have my doubts about the whole gold rares actually coming back for TCG. I mean, to be honest, I'm not really interested in gold rares, but that being said, it would be really cool if these cards actually came into the TCG in some form because they do support a lot of interesting decks. So without further ado, let's actually go over them. So the first card we have is Dragoon of Red Eyes, a level 8 Dark Spellcaster Fusion Effect monster, 3000 attack, 2500 defense, requires Dark Magician plus Red Eyes Black Dragon, or a Dragon Effect monster. First effect is it cannot be targeted by or destroyed by card effects. Second effect, up to the number of times per turn equal to the normal monsters used as this card's fusion material during your main phase, you can destroy one monster your opponent controls, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original attack. I think that's definitely very reminiscent of Red Eye's actually effect there, and of course it is technically a support card for both Dark Magician and Red Eyes as well. In a Red Eyes deck you could actually incorporate a copy or two of Dark Magician, and in a Dark Magician deck you can incorporate a card or two of Red Eyes and pretty much just put in an extra copy of Sacred Sword of 7 stars to pretty much get a level 7 draw power engine. As for the third effect, once per turn, when a card or effect is activated as a quick effect, you can discard one card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. And if you do that, this card gains 1000 attack. Now, it doesn't say that this is until the end of the turn, it's actually permanent, which means this card is actually a really good card. Now, you might see it as, oh, this card is pretty hard to actually go into, obviously, with Dark Magician and Red Eyes and a Dragon Effect monster. But that being said, for a Dark Magician deck, you have to keep in mind there is the Eye of Timaeus, which actually just goes into this very easily. And seeing that this can actually negate cards, gain attack, burn your opponent, as well as it can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects, I think it's definitely a very powerful card that will be very difficult to deal with. Now the second card here is Elemental Hero Neos Kluger, level 9 Light Spellcaster Fusion Effect monster, 3000 attack, 2500 defense. What I like about this is actually it requires Neos and it requires Yugioh, and it must be fusion summoned. Second effects can only be used once per turn, so for the first effect, if this card battles an opponent's monster, before damage calculation, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that opponent's monster's attack. Very similar to how Yugioh's effect, in the fact that she actually does deal damage to your opponent as well. Second effect is if this face-up card is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect while its owner controls it, you could special summon Aeneas Wiseman from your hand or deck, ignoring summoning conditions. So I already really love this card. I really wanted to actually build a deck that is actually very common or reminiscent of Jaden's deck, and as a result, being able to play this card that actually goes into Neos Wiseman would be very awesome, because Neos Wiseman is an incredibly difficult card to summon out. So seeing that we have this card that goes into it directly would be very nice. That being said, this card doesn't seem as broken as the new Dark Magician card or the new Dragoon of Red Eyes, so unfortunately this card didn't really have that same hype that we're expecting here. As for the third and final card, we have Shooting Star Dragon Tech Genis. Very excited about this card because it actually combines both Yusei's monster, the Shooting Star Dragon of course, and we also have TG's played by Bruno, so definitely very cool there, seeing that they're actually combining things. A level 10 Wind Dragon Synchro Effect monster, 3300 attack, 2500 defense. Requires a tuner synchro monster as well as a non-tuner synchro monster, so obviously very common in both TGs and in a Yusei-like deck. So the effects is the second and third effects can only be used once per turn. First effect, when a monster effect is activated that targets a monster you control, quick effect, you could banish one tuner from your graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. Second effect, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can just negate it. Third effect, during your opponent's turn, if this card is in your graveyard as a quick effect, you contribute 2 synchro monsters, special summon this card. This card, again, I see it as a very good card, so definitely very interesting. Overall, among the three, I found that the Elemental Hero Kluger, Neos Kluger, is unfortunately the least impressive of the bunch, which is kind of unfortunate because it is kind of the deck that I actually wanted to have the best support for it, and it's the one that I was looking forward to the most. Since we are actually getting new cards for Yugi, Jaden and Yusei's decks, we are also getting some reprints that are actually confirmed. So firstly, we're getting Eternal Soul, we're getting Neos Wise Man, and we're also getting Shooting Riser Dragon. So these are all cards that are used already and have actually already been released. They're just being reprinted, and obviously they kind of go together with these particular new cards. So definitely really great to see these cards because they are very difficult to get. Now, to end things off, I also wanted to talk about 2 new cards that are actually coming out in Ignition Assault. So we have Gizmek Mikazuchi, the Nuclear Emperor, level 9 Fire Machine effect monster, 2750 attack and defense. Each effect can only be used once per turn. So first effect, if there's a monster in the extra monster zones, you can special summon this card. Second effect, you can target one face-up monster in an extra monster zone, equip that card to this card, maximum of 1. Third effect, when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon one of your monster cards equipped to this card. So definitely very nice. Obviously it's similar to Gizmek Orochi, but in this particular case it allows you to actually steal your opponent's monsters with a fairly easy summoning method. And it's also level 9, so it could work really well with World Legacy's Monstrosity and of course level 9s in general. So definitely looking forward to this card. For the last card, we have Sky Striker Ace Rose. So this is another main monster for the actual Sky Strikers themselves. Of course, since Widow Anchor actually got banned, it kind of does make sense for them to actually get some kind of support to get them back up again. But a level 4 Light Warrior effect monster, 1500 attack and defense. First and second effects can only be used once per turn. First effect, if a Sky Striker monster except the Sky Striker Ace Rose is normal or special summon, you can special summon this card from your hand. Second effect, while this card is in your graveyard, if your opponent's monster in the extra monster zone is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of your card effect while its owner controlled it, you can special summon this card, then you can negate the effects of one face-up monster your opponent controls until the end of this turn. So, not a particularly amazingly broken card or anything, but it definitely helps it for a bit of recursion, and also the fact that it can actually negate cards kind of makes up for the loss that Sky Strikers had with the recent Widow Anchor ban or limitation. But that being said, that's pretty much my thoughts on all these cards. They're definitely very interesting, very much so looking forward to them, and I am actually wondering as to how the gold set will actually be incorporated into the TCG. You guys definitely leave your thoughts down below, because gold rares is something we haven't seen in a long time, and I'm wondering how we're actually going to get this. Maybe they might be imported into the next Legendary Duelist set, but that being said, the next Legendary Duelist set is already getting a total of 5 new cards, and it can only get 5 new cards per duelist featured in that set. So with that being said, are we to assume that these are the final cards? Who knows, but they are actually coming out in the gold box, which I just can't see happening in the TCG that we're getting golds again. And of course, as for the final 2 cards that will come out in Ignition Assault, definitely very exciting. So yeah, tell me what your thoughts are on this. But in the meantime, hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.